Hello and welcome to our rapid revision series, rapid revision session of nervous system over here. So over here we will be revising the nervous system for the ICSE 2021 in a very rapid way in one single session, right? So let's begin. If you can hear me, do let me know whether I am audible or not. We will be doing the nervous system in a very hasty manner, in a very concise and exam oriented manner today. So let's begin, right? So if you can hear me, just let me know that you can, and let's begin, right? Okay. Right. Just let me know whether you are in or not. Okay, so let's begin with the nervous system. So today we will be starting off the nervous system revision part for ICSE 2021, right? Okay, let's wait a bit so that you can join in. Okay, so there are a few things that we are supposed to discuss about the nervous system over here, and those things are a few things that we are supposed to discuss about the nervous system, and let's see what are those things are, right? So we will be going on, we will be continuing with our discussion, so just waiting for you to join, right? Okay, so let's begin with the discussion of today's class. So there are a few things that we are supposed to discuss about the nervous system. So first of all, nervous system. So what are the two controlling systems of our body? So basically in a human body we have different controlling systems. So we have two controlling systems in the human body. So what are the two controlling systems in the human body? So those are, one, nervous system, and second, we have the endocrine system, right? Endocrine system. These are the two controlling system. Since today we are revising the topic, I will be very precise in terms of what I write. So I may use many abbreviations. Whichever abbreviation you cannot understand, do ask me so that I can clarify it, right? Now let's come to the function of the nervous system. Now what is the function of nervous system? This is very important from examination point of view, right? Function of nervous system. Now, function of nervous system, if we have to remember, that the function of the nervous system is in terms of triangle, right? So over here, control and coordination is one function. So maintaining the internal atmosphere of the body is another function, and maintaining the external atmosphere, to maintain contact with the external atmosphere, is also a function. So these are the three functions, and as a result of all these three, what we were able to achieve, the ability to do higher functions. Along with that, we were doing higher functions. So what are higher functions? The functions that human beings do, right? The ability to think, the ability to remember, the ability to reason, the ability to imagine. Now all these higher things which only human beings can do, those are known as higher functionalities. So what are higher functionalities? Higher functionalities are those functionalities which are only possible by human beings, right? So what are higher functionalities? This can be asked in an exam. Your higher functionalities are thinking, imagining, right? Thinking, imagining, reasoning, all these things. Now these are controlled by, higher functions are controlled by cerebrum, right? Can you recall cerebrum and cerebellum? We discussed about all these, right? Now as a whole, what you have to read about the structure of the neuron, which is very, very important. After that, we are coming to, as a whole, the structure of neuron. So structure of neuron you can do up from the discussion in the previous class. So structure of neuron itself is a very elaborate topic, so I'm not getting into this. So what are the things that you have to read from the structure of neuron, or you have to prepare from the structure of neuron? That is important. So the topic is that draw the diagram, that is very important. Label the diagram, important. And then know the functions of each part. Function of each part, very important to learn about the structure of neurons. So what you have to do in the structure of neurons? You have to learn drawing the structure of neuron, you have to practice it time and again, you have to label the diagram, and you have to learn the functions of each part. All these things are done in detail, or have been dealt with in detail in the previous class, where we dealt with the nervous system in details. So once structure of neuron is done, we will be going into the type of neuron. So type of neuron. See, whenever we are dealing with the anatomy and physiology of human beings, I always tell my students to remember a rule of 3. Right, I have also told you about the rule of 3 when I taught you the circulatory system. So in most of the cases, you will be able to apply rule of 3, and if you are not able to apply rule of 3, then you will be definitely able to apply the rule of 2. Right, if not rule of 3, then definitely rule of 2. Right, now over here also, types of neuron. If we discuss the types of neuron, what we can come up with? We can come up with a rule of 3. So what is the rule of 3? We have 3 types of neurons. What are the 3 types? We have sensory neurons, we have motor neurons, and we have connector neurons or interneurons. Connector or interneurons. Right, this is the idea. Now what is the function of sensory neuron? Sensory neuron takes the information from receptors to CNS. Motor neuron relays information from CNS to effector. Right, and connector neuron connects different neurons. So basically it relays information from one neuron to other neuron. Right, so basically these are the functions of the different neurons. Right, Now if we just see a simplified diagram of this, what it will be, suppose this is the receptor, this is the receptor organ, this is the effector organ, right? This is the CNS, suppose. Now over here, the neuron that we have over here, that is the sensory neuron. Now over here another neuron will be here. Actually let's draw it with black. There will be another neuron which will be relaying the information within the CNS. That will be the interneuron or connected neuron, and then there will be another neuron which will be relaying the information from CNS to the effector. That will be motor neuron. So these are the three types of neurons that we have. So this was one topic that we were supposed to discuss, right? After that we will come to the polarity of the neurons, right? After this we will come to the polarity of the neurons. In polarity, again use the law of 3. What is the law of 3? You can have the unipolar neuron, unipolar, you can have bipolar, or you can have multipolar, right? And in between these two, I taught you another type, that is pseudo unipolar. Pseudo unipolar, right? Now unipolar neuron is what? And there was another thing that we learned, that is apolar, no poles, right? This kind of a neuronal cell. Now unipolar neuronal cell will look like what? Unipolar cell is like this, bipolar neuronal cell is like 2 processes, and multipolar neuronal cell is like, there will be different processes, many dendrites and 1 axon, right? So these are the idea. All right, polarity. So polarity we also discussed. So wherever you have doubts, do ask, so that the discussion becomes more and more interactive and effective, right? Now from examination point of view, if we discuss, the next topic that we will go into is synapse. We will move into the concept of synapse, right? So synapse is nothing but a junctional region between two neurons, right? Can you recall? Synapse is junction between or approximation of two neurons. The correct term is approximation of two neurons, right? Now in synapse we will be applying the rule of 2. Why? Because synapses are of two types. One is chemical synapse, another one is electrical synapse. So now in human body, most of the synapses are chemical. In human body, most are chemical synapse. Rarely we have electrical synapse, right? Now where we have electrical synapses are seen mostly in lower animals, right? Is it clear? Now since we have the discussion of the chemical synapse, okay, now why electrical synapse is electrical synapse? No chemical messenger involved. No chemical messenger involved, right? That is, what is the name of the chemical messenger? The name of the chemical messengers which are mainly involved, the chemical messengers which are involved in the synapse are known as neurotransmitters, right? Neurotransmitters. Isn't it? Isn't it? right? Now, yeah, so let's move on to, so let's briefly discuss the idea of chemical synapse. So what we have in the chemical synapse, suppose this is one neuron and this is another neuron. So suppose this is the axon of one neuron, axon, and this is the dendrite. Now this neuron is known as the postsynaptic neuron. This one is known as the presynaptic neuron, right? Now over here, this place, this empty space is known as synaptic cleft, right? Over here we have vesicles in the postsynaptic neuron. In the vesicles we have what? Neurotransmitters. These are vesicles. Over here we have neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are shortened as NTs, right? Now what happens when in need? The neurotransmitters are released from the vesicles for signal transduction and they come out in the synaptic cleft. And on the synaptic cleft, what we have certain receptors. We have certain receptors to which the neurotransmitters go and bind, and the receptors are associated with sodium channels. And these channels cause what? Influx of sodium. And this influx of sodium causes signal transduction or passage of impulse, right? Can you recall this much? So now, how is it important from examination point of view? People can ask you to draw diagram of a synapse, draw diagram and label synapse, right? Draw and label, right? So now this is important from examination point of view, draw and label. Now if you are told to draw and label, what are the things that you are going to label? You are going to label presynaptic neuron, postsynaptic neuron, synaptic cleft, vesicles, and neurotransmitters. This is what you are going to label. These are the 5 things that you can label up, right? So this is more or less the discussion on synapse, right? Okay, now let's move on. Are we clear? Do let me know, are we done with this much or not? Any doubts, please don't hesitate to ask. Do ask over here, then and there, right? And now try to assimilate this much and let's move forward. This is not a very conceptual discussion of the topic. This is just an overview, shallow overview of the topics that you have to do for examination. So there will be many topics in which I will not be going into the depth of the topic, and I will be just telling you to go and refer to the original videos of the topic, right? So should I proceed after synapse? Right, so let's move on. Now after this we will get into the types of nerves. Right, so let's begin with the type of nerves. So before coming to that, you have to remember that nerves are made up of neurons. Right, so neurons were mostly of two types. By function, they were actually three types of neurons that we studied. Right, so what are the three types? Sensory, motor, and interneuron. Right, so nerves, we have again three types of nerves. Rule of three applies over here as well. So we have sensory nerves, we have motor nerves, and we have mixed nerves. Now it's not like the interneurons. So sensory nerves are made up of only sensory neurons. Motor nerves are made up of motor neurons, and mixed nerves are made up of both sensory as well as sensory plus motor. Right, done. These are the types of nerves. So now we have done the types of neurons, we have done the types of nerves. Now we have to come to the types of nervous system. Right, now we have to come to the type of nervous system. Right, so let's move on to the types of nervous system. Let's deal with that. Types of nervous system. Now types of nervous system can be either central nervous system. Actually I will be using the short forms over here. Whichever short form you cannot comprehend, just ask me in the chat box. Right, over here CNS, central nervous system, and another will be the peripheral nervous system. Now under CNS, what are the things that we have? We have two things. We have brain and we have spinal cord. Over here we have the rule of two divisions. CNS contains brain and spinal cord. Now PNS has again two parts. PNS contains what? PNS contains somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Right, now somatic autonomic nervous system again contains two parts, which are sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So can you recall this thing? So for examination point of view, important is CNS, important is PNS, important is ANS, sympathetic, parasympathetic. SNS is not that important from examination, not important. Right, any questions over here, specific questions? So basically CNS is made up of brains and spinal cord, and PNS is made up of nerves. Nerves which are going into the internal organs are ANS, internal organs, and the nerves which are not going into the internal organs are other nerves are known as SNS, or somatic nervous system, going to the different parts of the body like bones, muscles, skin, etc., which are not going to the internal organs or the superficial organs like bones, muscles, not actually bones but muscles and your muscles, skin, etc. Right, so this is the classification of the nervous system. Right, now let's come to the discussion of the CNS next. We will come to the discussion of the CNS. Now over here CNS, we have central nervous system. Now central nervous system has brain and spinal cord, brain and spinal cord. Now a very stark difference between brain and spinal cord is that, okay, so once Okay, sorry for the disruption. Now for brain, right. So now for brain, the protective bony covering is the skull, and for spinal cord, that is your vertebral column. And this protective bony covering is made up of, in case of skulls, the cranial bones make the bony covering, and the vertebral column is made up of vertebra or vertebrae, right? So this is one similarity that you have to talk in your examination. Now we will be coming to the dissimilarities quite soon, or very soon. So now what are the dissimilarities right now? So this is one similarity that we discussed. Similarity, right? Now over here, now for brain we have, for brain we are talking, so for brain we have gray matter outside, white inside, and over here for spinal cord we have the gray matter inside and white matter outside. This is difference, right? This is very important from examination point of view. We have to remember this. So for brain, the gray matter is outside, white matter is inside, and for spinal cord, the gray matter is out inside and white matter is outside, right? So this was a bit of one similarity, one dissimilarity, right? Now let's take a moment and assimilate whatever we have learned so far. Then we will move to the more finer aspects of it. Right. So over here we will take some moment out and try to discuss a few things. Over here let's discuss a few things like the covering of the CNS. CNS covering. This is what we are going to discuss. Now over here also we will have the rule of 3 intact. So what are the rule of 3? So the covering is done by meninges. Meninges are layers of connective tissue, right? Fibrous connective tissue which cover the brain. Now there are 3 meninges. So the 3 meninges are, let's do it in a different way. So from outside to inside we will have the things. So from outside we have the dura mater. Now focus on the spelling of the matter. It is single T, not double T. This matter is not derived from English. This matter comes directly from Latin. So we have single T, remember, right? Then we have arachnoid matter and we have pia matter or pia matter. Now dura matter simply means durable matter, almost the toughest material of the meninges, Arachnoid matter has blood vessels. So on the arachnoid matter, the blood, suppose this is the part of the arachnoid matter, on that the blood vessels form this kind of, blood vessels are present, so the blood vessels form this kind of patterns. Now this represent legs of spider, so that's why it is known as arachnoid. Arachnida means spider. Over here we have the spider like appearance. Spiders are known as arachnida. Spiders are known as arachnida. So from arachnida we have the name given arachnoid, and pia means soft or tender, mother like, right? So these are the arrangement of meninges. Now coverings, so CNS coverings are made up of, bones and meninges, right? And they give protection to both spinal cord as well as brain, right? Now let's get into the discussion of brain. All right. Right, now let's move to the next topic of discussion. Okay, so let's move to the next topic over here. So we are coming to the parts of the brain. We are coming to the parts of the brain, right? Over here we are going to discuss the parts of the brain, right? Parts of brain. Okay, so let's see what are the parts of the brain. Okay, so it's a very basic diagram of the brain that I'm trying to draw over here. Very basic one. Okay, so this is more or less a basic structure of a brain. Now let me mark the parts. Cerebrum, right? This is hypothalamus. Let's mark it with black only. Hypothalamus. This part is pituitary. Pituitary has immense role in the endocrine system that we will do later on. Now these two structures are thalamus, or together known as thalami. Let's write thalamus only. Now this is cerebellum. This much part is known as the midbrain. This much part is known as the pons. This much part is known as the medulla. Okay, now over here, okay, so there's an internet error that's occurring, so we will